I'm Cinnamon Cooney, the Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how to do this ink technique in acrylic painting on canvas. So get your paint, get your brushes, and come back and meet me with Easel right now, and I'll show you how easy this actually is. So traditionally, acrylic artists don't do these kind of techniques because of a little problem called underbinding. However, with a couple of products I'm going to tell you about and a few techniques I'm going to show you, you can do this fabulous free-spirited style of painting easily and at home, even if you're a beginner. Let me show you everything you're going to need to do this project. I have a 9x12 pre-gessoed canvas board here. This is ready to paint on. I'm still going to need to add an absorbent acrylic ground to this, but right now it would be ready to go just to paint. Over here I have my materials. I've got my regular titanium white paint. I've got my high flow. This is like an ink titanium white. I've got carbon black fluid. I've got polymer medium and gloss. A cup of golden absorbent ground. This is the cool secret sauce. Sticks for stirring. A little plastic cup with a lid to store my extra. A spray water bottle. And of course, when I finish this, when I varnish this, it's going to be with a spray varnish to even protect and solidify that painting more. So first, let's mix up our wash color. I'm going to put in up 1 part, which is about half a cup. Sometimes I tend to overmix this. My polymer medium. This is going to definitely thin my paint already so that I can get a nice wash effect, but have even more polymer in there. I'm going to put about 1 part of my black in, and I'm going to stir that around with a stick, and you can see it tints that polymer no problem. Kind of even reminds me of ink, right? You stir that till you feel that's well incorporated, and I've got a little lid to store the extra. Now that I've explained the materials, let me go ahead and show you how it's really easy to coat this canvas with Absorbent Ground by Golden. You ready? So I've got my little cup of Absorbent Ground, and I'm going to just take this 1-inch nylon brush and brush a thin coat onto the canvas. This allows me to use watery techniques in my acrylic painting and not have what's called underbinding, which means the paint isn't sticking to the surface. Now, you don't have to use it. It just helps protect your result. And I always like to share the real inside secrets on how we might get that result. So it's not hard to apply this stuff at all in any way. Just a thin little coat. And I'm going to go ahead and let that dry. And when it's completely dry, I can begin my fabulous emotional ink wash technique. I'll see you right back here when the painting's dry. Now that the painting is dry, let's go ahead and mist it with our water bottle. So I've got my little water bottle here, and I'm going to give it a couple sprays. I want it to be moist. I don't want it to be running like a waterfall, just moist. I'm going to take my number 10 bright, really any brush to apply this. I just really like this brush. I use it in my acrylic painting, so this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to get my brush wet, and I'm going to come get just a little bit, and maybe even a little more water of my mixture, and I'm going to start up here allowing this to wash down, and you can see that it is. Maybe a little more water if you need to, a little more pigment. Definitely, I almost always am mixing more than I need, and you can see as I'm pressing it down, it's definitely running. I'm going to make sure this goes to the edge. I don't want to take away everything that's happening expressively in the paint as I'm pressing it down, and you can see how the water is pulling it down. The next step that I'm going to take is adding this really fun high flow. I'm going to drop some drops coming down my canvas. See, I'm just letting them drop and bleed out. And this is a lot like watercolor, even though this is acrylic paint. As I'm coming through the center of my canvas, I'm lowering my bottle, right? And then I'm going to come back up. And I'm going to come back up. And you can see that beautiful bleeding out in effect that I'm getting. Don't like those bubbles, I'll pop those. So there's that sort of expressive pull down that's happening. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to give my figure a very strong space to exist in, because even though this is abstract landscape and this is sort of a high flow brush landscape, it still needs to feel like there's space that exists in. So this time I'm going to pull my mixture that I've made right onto my brush, and I'm going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to come here almost above the halfway mark, pulling this down. You can see how it's pushing the paint, they're working together and they're mixing, and I'm going to pull this apart, allowing this all to bleed, and it's going to create this very interesting space between what's pulling down and what's already there. Now, normally, you know I love us to use a little hair dryer when we're getting ready to dry some space. I'm going to put a little more black. I want just a little more strength right here, and you can see it's just running down, but I'm trying not to take away everything that happened because I want it still to be very expressive and feel very free-spirited. Right, all right. When I'm happy with what I'm looking at, and the trick will be recognizing that there's this moment where the piece is taken on its own life. Each one is different. Yours will be different than mine. We've got to let this rest and completely dry. We don't want to dry it with a hairdryer because it'll move around our ink landscape, and we've got to let it just be and accept it, which is kind of the zen part of this piece. So I'm going to let that dry, and I'll meet you right back here in a second, and I'll show you how to paint in the figure. Now that this dramatic piece is dry, we get to decide in this abstract landscape where our land is and where our sky is. And I've been looking at my piece for a minute, and I've made kind of an exotic decision that might surprise you. I have decided to flip my canvas and have all the energy going upwards, have all the energy pulling upwards where I pull my figure, and make this the world that my lone figure resides in. I bet you didn't see that coming. Now I'm going to show you how to easily paint your figure in. You can use your medium, but in this particular case I want to use my pure pigment because I want my figure to really stand out. And I'm going to get a small bright. This is a number 2 bright. You could use a little detail round, just any brush that you're super comfortable with putting your figure in. And I need to make some decisions about where the wind is blowing and how this weather is impacting our figure. And I think I'm going to move my energy this way through this light corridor. So I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet, take off the extra water, load up just the tip with this carbon black, and I'm going to come up, not to the top of the canvas, but about a couple inches down and make a round shape. Just a round shape, about the size of a dime. It really isn't going to matter, actually. Then I'm going to take a little bit of this and just blow that off this direction. Now I've made a decision about how things are blowing. I'm going to come down for shoulder, come down for another shoulder. There we go. I want these to be fairly square shoulders. You can keep working your hair as you need to. I'm going to come down, wiggling out, and then I'm going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to blow this over that way. Now, I might actually come through with my spray bottle and make him a little bit expressive in his world as well, but I want to get in his basic shape before I do that. And you can see that using the pure pigment is very helpful. I'm going to just pull some straight line down for legs maybe, and then add a little bit of a darkened shadow going off. Also to the right. Just a little bit of weight to do this. Go ahead, if you're feeling brave, add a little bit of moisture. That will help him become a little expressive into his landscape as well. You want him to feel like he's part of the world that's happening here. He's part of the drizzle. Not too perfect. The finer the mist on your bottle, the less black splash and spray that you'll see in that. I'm going to take another slightly finer mist bottle. Just add that a little bit here because I don't want his shadow to be a perfect expression where he is. It's just very arty, abstract here. And now the trick is going to be pulling this line over to the right and recognizing that for this to have the soft, emotive free spirit it needs, that I'll simply have to stop and give it a signature. So I'm going to get my signing brush out. I'm going to just very carefully, on the edge of this shadow, add a diminutive little signature. It doesn't really stand out because in this piece I want it to be about the lines and the space. How are you feeling about your abstract, lonely, heartbroken figure? I'm pretty excited about this. I really love it. I hope you went ahead and went for that risk and did some ink brush style painting with me. I'm going to see you at the easel really soon for another really great fun project. Be good to yourselves. Bye-bye.